Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slippery Rock University, and welcome to our brand new Russell Wright Alumni House and Conference Center. My name is Michael Soraka, and I'm proud to be the Alumni Director at Slippery Rock. And for those of you who don't know, this is one of the first events we have done in the newly redesigned Alumni House. So thank you for coming tonight. You are our guinea pigs for the evening. I've been here 8 years, and we have worked very hard as an alumni association to provide this lovely facility for this institution that we all love. I'd like to ask all of our alumni and past alumni board members to please stand and be recognized. If you would stand right now. Thank you. Thank you for all you do for this institution. I'd like to introduce the president of our Alumni Association, Dick Manning. Dick, if you would stand for a second. Thank you, Dick. I'd also like to recognize Barbara Ender, the Vice President of University Advancement. And Bob and Ramona Smith, President and President's wife of Slippery Rock University. This ceremony has occurred on this campus in one form or another since the late 1960s. We have been recognizing student accomplishment through the use of scholarship. We have been recognizing our alumni for their accomplishment after they leave this institution for a long time. It's something that we're proud of. This is one of my favorite events throughout the year. It's so nice to see a mix of students, even prospective students who haven't even started here, current students, as well as alumni come back to campus. It's what an alumni association is all about. An alumni association is not just for alumni. It also includes your families, it includes students, and it includes our faculty and staff, without whom our students and our alumni would not have been as successful as they are right now. Our president, our 15th president of Slippery Rock University, Bob Smith.
Thank you, Mike, and what a pleasure it is to be here in this gorgeous facility, one of the first events that we've had in it. And I want to say thank you to the Alumni Association, the Alumni Board, and to Mike Soraka and his staff for what a gorgeous project this is. Mike, congratulations. Well, hey. Well, I also want to welcome Barbara Ender. If you have not had a chance to meet her, she is the new Vice President for Advancement to the University, and we're absolutely delighted to have her join our staff and become part of the team as we move Slippery Rock University forward. And I know this is the first event for many of the alumni to get a chance to meet Barbara, and if you haven't, then please do so before the evening is over. And while I'm introducing people, let me have the privilege of introducing the past presidents of the Alumni Association. And I think I've got a recognition of all of these people, so I'm going to start with, and then I'm going to ask you to stand and then remain standing until we've got all the people up, and then if you'll recognize their service. And so Chuck, I'm going to start with Chuck Schultz, and Bill Burns is here in the center, and Eric Holmes, and then Sam Zyrol is here, and Frank Carr. Frank? Yes? We'll wait. You're up. And Bob Watson. And these are your past presidents of the Slippery Rock University Alumni Association. Thank you. And then Mike's recognized Dick Manning as our current president of the Alumni Association. And Dick, you've had a great, great year. So congratulations for what you've done as well. You know, as I read the biographies of our scholarship recipients tonight, you can't help but be impressed by the kind of talent that is now at Slippery Rock University, and a long heritage of that talent. And then to also recognize in a couple of these scholarships, students who are going to be joining Slippery Rock University in the coming year. And one of the things that is a theme, not only through our scholarship recipients, but also in our Young Alumni Award winners, and in the Outstanding Senior Man and Woman, is something that is part of the heritage and culture that we hope will be long present at Slippery Rock University. One is a commitment to the university, an enthusiasm for being part of this family and part of the Slippery Rock University community. The second one is their dedication of service to others. As you look at these bios, you'll see that these are people who are not here just to accumulate a set of grades and then click those together on a transcript and then we issue a diploma, but they are engaged in the community, they are engaged in service to others, and that they truly are expanding the horizon of their own education. And then the third is an element of that is their willingness to be leaders, both on this campus and in their communities, and people who will make a difference. I told the board earlier that we're really going to look this next year as a faculty of Slippery Rock University into how we integrate those kinds of characteristics into the strategic directions of the university. And then when we say uniquely at Slippery Rock University that we're preparing the next generation of leaders, we actually know what that means and how we articulate that. And the leadership of that really has been by our students. You cannot pick up a copy of the Rocket, the campus newspaper, and not see great stories about how our students have engaged in raising money or in service to others and reaching out to make a difference in this world. And I'm just enormously proud of their work and their effort. I want to also thank the many scholarship contributors who are here tonight. We've been awarding scholarships from the Alumni Association to thousands of students dating back to the early 1940s. I have no personal recollection of that. And neither do you. This is usually when I pick on Bob Watson, but I'm not going to do that. It would not be possible to make these donations. I mean, it's inherent in these scholarship awards without the donations of generous alumni and friends of the university. We're moving into an interesting era at Slippery Rock University. We closed out the freshman class for 2008 in February of this year. 40% of the arriving class is in the top 25% of their high school. We spent part of today recruiting the fall 2009 class. And I told those young people and their parents they need to make a decision in their senior year sometime prior to February if they plan to come to Slippery Rock University, because we are only accepting 1,550 freshmen. And when that class is completed with the top students, then that's it. Now, that is a very different character for Slippery Rock. And in order for us to continue to attract that kind of a high-quality student, we have to continue to provide scholarship support. And so I am very, very grateful for the sacrifices that a lot of people have made And I think Bob's going to tell some stories about the named scholarships here and how they came about, those names. And I want you to hear those stories because they are testimony to the character of Slippery Rock University and the importance that people feel in giving back to the institution in order to continue that legacy. That is a long setup to the pitch. And that is, we need you to think seriously about what your role is in contributing to the next generation of students that are coming here. I mean, we're attracting these students, and we're doing phenomenal things on this campus. We can't do it. We really cannot do it alone. So I challenge you to help us keep the momentum that we've got going at Slippery Rock University, because you know what I say. This is absolutely a great time to be at Slippery Rock University. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, a man whose name is synonymous with Slippery Rock University, both him and his family. He has done countless things for this institution and continues to do great things for the institution. He was a former admissions director, former vice president of student affairs, and a really good friend, Dr. Bob Watson.
Wow, what a great night to be at Slippery Rock University. A great place to be. It's my esteemed pleasure and it's my honor to serve as your MC this evening. And I want to tell you right up front what this is all about. It's all about those who are receiving honors and awards. This is your night. We will do some things, hopefully, to not embarrass you, but we want the people in the room this evening to get to know you more than just the bio that appears in the booklet. So we want them to be able to put a face with that name and information. So every one of the awards that we'll be awarding here will be made from the front of the room, so we'll ask you to come forward to receive that award. President Smith referred to the pages 2 and 3 in your program, History of Scholarships. And I'd like you to take a look at that. I'm not going to delineate each of those. A great deal of care and attention was given to the description of each of those scholarship programs. And individuals who are named on these pages are real people. Are people who were involved in Slippery Rock, some in the distant past, some in the not so past. But they're all individuals who cared enough about their alma mater in most cases, or loved ones' alma mater, to continue to be involved in the university. And it's because of that we're now able to move on then to pages starting on 4 and going through with the awards. We're going to start with the Marie McKay Esther Miley Scholarship, and there were 7 young people selected for that award this year. Unfortunately, a couple of individuals cannot be present. We'll acknowledge why. But we're going to start with, and as I call your name, would you please come up in the order that I call your name and form across the front here so that we can make a couple of brief statements about you, and then Mr. Soraka will present you with an award. And we're going to start with Catherine Boble. Catherine, would you please come forward? And next, we will ask Alicia Moulter to come forward. Megan Rice, would you please join us at the front? Brian Snively rounds out those present this evening. And you have in your program a synopsis. And in many cases, ladies and gentlemen, it is a brief synopsis of the accomplishments of these young people. I had the pleasure over the last couple of weeks of reading the applications and the reference letters. And you see a good deal in front of you this evening, but what you don't see is a bit of information that comes out of each of those reference letters. So I have gone through those, and I tried to find some statement from a faculty member or an administrative staff member or former alum that really captures the character of the individual as much as possible. So we're going to start with Catherine. And as you know, Catherine is Park and Resource Management major. What you don't know is she has a 3.853 grade point average. And Dr. Colleen Cook wrote one of her references, and Dr. Cook says, I worked with Kate during disaster relief in New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina. While small in stature, Kate is certainly great in heart. She worked longer and harder than most of the other participants. She seemed to tire less. I was very impressed with her energy level and unfaltering commitment to the cause. It seems as though whatever Kate commits herself to do, she extends effort that not only allows her to succeed, but also to excel. Please offer your congratulations to Catherine Bobo. The next recipient mentioned in your program, Teresa DeMacco, unfortunately is unable to be with us this evening for the same reason as the next participant, Eileen Martini, is unable to be with us, and that is because they are outstanding dance majors, and tonight is a major dance performance. And unfortunately, they are unable to be with us this evening. But I know your congratulations will be felt by them. Alicia Moulter. Alicia, a therapeutic recreation major, having earned to date a 3.862, and this is on a 4-point scale. And that means almost all A's and a smattering of B's. But Dr. Deborah Hutchins in therapeutic recreation offers the following statement about Alicia. Alicia is successfully engaged in all of the activities cited on her resume, while also working for AVI Food Services on campus, the Woodlands Foundation Camp, and the Akron Rotary Camp as a weekend and respite camp counselor. Ms. Moulter is motivated to achieve high academic standards and to expand her involvement in the community through extracurricular activities and organizations. She is an excellent student with outstanding character. I would highly recommend her for the Marie McKay Esther Smiley Academic Alumni Scholarship. She is a deserving student who has excelled in the academic arena and has shown great potential to become a future leader in the therapeutic recreation field. Ms. Alicia Moulter. Megan Rice, environmental geoscience and geology major, and a minor in community health and meteorology, with a 4.0 grade point average. And Professor Tamara Chiappa in the Department of Geography, Geology, and the Environment writes, Megan seems to really enjoy learning, as demonstrated in her honors course in Europe this past summer. During her trip, she was required to make presentations and chose to use her knowledge of geology and apply this to the magnificent sculptures of Italy. She elaborated on this summer experience this semester by writing a scientific research paper on the marble used to create famous sculptures around Italy, and presented this orally in my geotechnical reports course. Megan has involved herself in the Environmental Geoscience Student Organization and participates in all activities hosted by our department. Megan is dependable, trustworthy, very motivated to learn, works well with others, and has the ability to successfully complete her major program and minors with distinction and honors. Megan Rice. Before I introduce Brian, I will mention that another individual, Lauren Wittmeyer, is unable to be here this evening, and she had an emergent situation arise, so regrets that she is not able to be with us this evening. I joked with Brian Snively beforehand because, as you clearly notice, Brian is the only one holding up the male gender in this award area. So thank you, Brian, for many ways there. Brian is an accounting major with a 3.806 grade point average and carries a strong letter of reference from a faculty member in the mathematics department, one I am familiar with and have known for more than 35 years, and I can't tell you that these letters are handed out willy-nilly. Dr. Michael Detlefson writes of Brian, Brian Snively was a student of mine in pre-calculus, a course required for science, business, and some health majors. Traditionally, students find the course deeper and more challenging than their course in high school. That's jargon for really hard. The dropout rate in this course is high. Final grades can be frustrating for both the student and the professor. Brian, a non-science accounting major, was an exception to the trends above, however. He was the only student in some time that began and ended my course with the highest grade in the class. He has the capacity. He was an exemplary student. He never missed a class. He earned an A on every homework assignment and every examination. Talking to Brian, it becomes evident that he is sincere, humble, confident, and respectful. He seems to take his self-discipline as a way of life. Mr. Brian Snively. Very pleased to move to the next award, and I'm going to ask Ms. Janine Kovicevic to please come forward. Janine? One of the great opportunities I have is I have the opportunity to have known Janine as an undergraduate student, as a varsity athlete, and I also had the opportunity to know and remember well, with fondness, Maggie Misey, whose name is used in funding this scholarship. And Maggie would be very proud, Janine, very proud. Janine is a graduate student in the Doctor of Physical Therapy program with a cumulative QPA in the doctoral program of 3.830. And when looking through references, I found that Marianne Holbein Jenny, Dr. Holbein Jenny, has written this about Janine. Janine truly exemplifies a wonderful combination of the psychosocial, humanistic, professional, and intellectual qualities that will make her an outstanding citizen and an asset to the physical therapy profession. She is very motivated, goal-oriented, and has a deep desire to serve her community and her profession. I have seen firsthand much evidence of this since her matriculation into the doctoral program for physical therapy. Her involvement in community and professional service and extracurricular activities is admirable and evidenced clearly on her resume. Janine's academic record is simply exemplary. In addition, the level of professionalism and initiative that she demonstrates in her studies is most exemplary. Janine Kovosevic. We'll now move to the Madeleine Farnan Scholarship. There are two individuals recognized. The first one I'd like to come forward, Catherine Brown. Would you please come forward, Catherine? And Abigail Stonebreaker. Abigail? Can you imagine reading the scholarships applications for this scholarship this evening? I just can't imagine what the others who didn't receive the award looked like. First of all, Catherine Brown is a music education major with a 4.0 grade point average. And Dr. Nanette Kaplan-Solomon, professor in the music department, writes this of Catherine. As you can see by her perfect 4.0 grade point average, Katie is a model student. Her work for me in the piano studio has been outstanding. She is extremely self-motivated, sets high goals for herself, and achieves them. She is not afraid to explore new and challenging literature and dives in with great intellectual curiosity. In addition, Katie has proven herself to be an indispensable part of the music department community. Last spring, she learned the entire score and accompanied the entire opera of Der Fledermaus, produced by the voice department at Slippery Rock. No small feat at all. Also, while serving as the rehearsal accompanist for the Joint Theater and Music Department production of Little Shop of Horrors in the same semester. This past fall, Katie has played for 24 different instrumental and vocal students in our department. Katie also serves as a piano tutor for academic services. I would have needed you, Katie. And maintains various church positions as well with several area congregations. Catherine Brown. Abigail Stonebreaker. Abigail has a dual major in special education and elementary education and a minor in Spanish and a 4.0 grade point average. And in reading the references, Dr. Dorotha Monfort in special education writes of Abigail, Abigail's grades have been exceptional overall. Abigail has an extremely good work ethic. She is very dependable in every way and is pleasant to have around. Abigail seeks and utilizes constructive feedback and is creative in designing instructional strategies for learning. She typically goes beyond the minimal requirements associated with any task. She gets along well with peers and authority figures. Abigail will be successful in all that she attempts. Abigail Stonebreaker, congratulations. We have one recipient for the Eisenman Scholarship for sophomore students. We're pleased to ask Corey Smith to come forward. You had a long walk there, Corey. And it's very difficult to not fall into the doldrum of academic excellence here, folks. When you have every student earning a phenomenal grade point average in outstanding curricula, we can be lulled very quickly. But please do not. These young people work extremely hard to do all that they do. Mr. Corey Smith is a 3+3 biology/physical therapy major. And what that basically means is he's doing 3 years as an undergraduate student in biology and will then follow, hopefully, with a 3-year program in the doctoral program in physical therapy. So he's here for the 6-year stint, hopefully, and will move through in the same way he has already established himself, which is a 4.0 grade point average. And he carries a strong letter of recommendation, another one that is not handed out in numbers, believe me. Dr. Mark Shotwell in the biology department says this of Corey. Brings a smile to your face, doesn't it? You've earned it, believe me. Corey was very near the top of the class from the beginning of the semester until the end, scoring in the top 10% on all 3 exams and the major final exam. His grade on this scientific paper, which culminated a semester-long series of writing assignments, was 97%. Tops in the class. From the first day I met him, Corey has impressed me with the seriousness of purpose as a student. He's all business in the classroom, always focused on the task at hand, always attending to every last detail. These qualities have served him well in his academic career thus far. He has earned a perfect 4.0 grade point average in a rigorous course of study that has included calculus along with biology and chemistry. Corey has been active outside the classroom as well, completing community service at a nearby women's shelter and at Allegheny Valley Hospital, and participating also in intramural sports. This clearly is a well-rounded student who is getting the most out of his educational experience at Slippery Rock University. I am pleased to recommend him for the Eisenman Scholarship. Corey, congratulations. The next scholarship is the Carl Norma Watson Lochner Scholarship, and unfortunately, Ms. Jasmine Lohman is unable to attend this evening, and unfortunately, Jasmine has had a family emergency, and one that none of us want to be involved with. But I think Jasmine is certainly missing this activity, and I'm sure we'll be in touch with the Alumni Association very soon as things get settled at home for her. But as you read through her bio, you will be easily impressed. We will then move to the Anna Bruya Williams Scholarship. And I'm going to ask Bethany Rupert to please come forward. Bethany's major is health and physical education, and she also carries a minor in adaptive physical activity. And for those who may not fully understand that, she works with people who have a great deal of difficulty in physical activity and exercise. And many of these individuals are special needs people. But to be sufficiently creative to design a physical activity and adapt that what might be an activity done with one person so that individuals who may not normally be doing these kinds of activities can perform them is just remarkable to watch. And a lot of that good work takes place right next door. Oh, I forgot. Bethany has a 4.0. And Michelle Ruiz in the Physical Education Department offers these comments. I have had the distinct pleasure of getting to know Bethany through my capacity as instructor of a course entitled Territory Games, and also as a member of the Physical Education Teacher Education Club. Bethany has undertaken a demanding program concentrating on physical education, and her performance has been simply outstanding. Bethany has proven to be a conscientious person who is highly motivated and has a positive attitude toward learning. Throughout her time at Slippery Rock University, Bethany has been a conscientious and most able student, as well as a hard worker. Bethany currently has a grade point average of 4.0, which I believe further demonstrates her maturity and her academic ability. Bethany clearly possesses the intellectual curiosity and the aptitude to be very successful. Bethany Rupert. Now, all of the individuals we've identified thus far in the program are either undergraduate students or graduate students currently enrolled at Slippery Rock University. And we have the opportunity to make an award as one of the recipients of the Watson Family Scholarship to a young man by the name of Austin Hawk. Austin, would you come forward? In a very positive way, Austin is a wannabe. He's a wannabe in that position that these people are in right now, and that's enrolled at Slippery Rock University. So he has made a commitment as a senior at Slippery Rock Area High School to enroll this fall at Slippery Rock as a new freshman. And whereas Austin isn't certain about necessarily in what area he will major specifically, he knows that in general he wants to be a teacher and has felt that calling for quite some time. You have his bio in front of you. I want to mention a couple of things briefly, and then we'll make the award. Austin is one of these unusual young people in today's society that is not only the good academic student, but he also does a great deal of work outside the classroom, both within the district and within the community. And as I read through Austin's profile, all I could think of is, wow, we just need more of Austin Hawk. He was captain of the varsity and junior varsity soccer teams, captain of the junior varsity and freshman basketball teams, but he was also selected for the Pennsylvania Music Educators District 5 Jazz Band through competitive auditions. In addition, Austin currently serves as a clerk at Giant Eagle. He's a soccer referee. He's a Teen Institute leader and works with young people, his peers. He's actively involved in Young Life. And he's a volunteer coach for youth basketball. I'm really pleased that Austin is here this evening, and I'm pleased that he's choosing Slippery Rock University because Austin is clearly a young man of character, a man who will be distinguished, I'm sure, in the future as a result of his educational experience here at Slippery Rock. So Austin, congratulations and welcome to the Rock. Before I introduce Lisa, I would just like to ask every family member, whether you're a parent, a cousin, a brother, a sister, an aunt, or an uncle, a grandparent, every friend who is here supporting one of the individuals who has received an honor or a scholarship thus far in the program. Would you please stand to be recognized? All of the family members, don't be bashful, please, folks. Thank you for doing such a great job of parenting, if you're the parents, of being a friend, if you're the friend, or what you've done. You've done a great job. It's my pleasure now to introduce another hard-working board member, which you have run into many this evening, Ms. Lisa Holmes. Lisa, class of 1988.
Fly-by. Thank you, Bob. Good evening. To those of you who are returning to the Rock, welcome back. Welcome to the lovely facility. And to those of you who are visiting for the first time, I say welcome, and I hope that you will come back again. As an Alumni Association Board of Director and the chair of the University Affairs Committee, I have a unique position because I get to work both with alumni and with students. Whether it's serving on a search committee, planning homecoming, or recognizing students and alumni, it is truly an honor for me to serve the university and take part in the future direction of this great institution. I've met hundreds, maybe thousands, of alumni and students during my tenure as a board of director. And this event is one of my favorites because it represents truly the best in both our students and alumni. The Outstanding Senior Female and Male Awards have been a tradition at Slippery Rock University since 1969. In that time, 83 seniors have been honored by the Alumni Association for their campus involvement, leadership, and academic success. Our winners have gone on to become successful teachers, researchers, doctors, bankers, dancers, accountants, business owners, and countless other careers and professions. The Alumni Association is proud to again sponsor this award. These individuals represent the best and brightest Slippery Rock University has to offer, and I think you will agree with me that this year's choices are no exception. To better present the two bright young students, I'd like to first call on Dr. Richard Marchand, Associate Professor of Mathematics, to introduce the outstanding senior female, Emily Hendrickson.
That is a long walk, isn't it?
Good evening. The time allotted to me is not sufficient to properly celebrate the accomplishments of the recipient of this award, but I will do my best to keep it brief. This year's award winner majored in mathematics with minors in philosophy and art history. She averaged over 17 credits each semester and achieved a QPA of 3.95. This is a particularly significant achievement given all of the activities she was involved in. Each semester she averaged over 20 hours per week in a part-time job. She served as a mathematics tutor through the University Tutoring Center. She was a note taker for the Office for Students with Disabilities, a computer lab assistant for the math department, a peer mentor for the honors program, a representative for the Dean's Advisory Board, and a member of S.R.U's chapter of the Golden Key International Honor Society. As a sophomore, she wrote a paper on the mathematical analysis of probability associated with the Phase 10 card game for acceptance into S.R.U's student chapter Kappa Mu Epsilon, a well-known mathematics honor society. That same year, she was elected vice president of the chapter, and in 2007, she was elected president. As a junior, she worked with me on a funded research project involving the stabilization of vibrating thermoelastic beams. Her work in this area sets the stage for more advanced research in controlling vibrations for plate and shell structures that are used in modern aircraft and a host of other engineering applications. She presented her results at 3 international conferences in the past year, receiving a travel grant from the Mathematical Association of America to present her work at the Math Fest in San Jose, California. As you can tell, she doesn't walk away from a challenge. In 2007, she competed in the International Mathematics Competition sponsored by the Consortium for Mathematics and its Applications. This is a grueling 4-day competition in which students, teams of 3, develop a solution to an open-ended application problem. Her team was tasked with developing an optimal strategy for boarding and deboarding an airplane. Of the 949 teams from around the world that competed in the competition, her team ranked in the top 14%, receiving a meritorious ranking. Only 9 teams in the world did better to achieve an outstanding ranking. This was a monumental accomplishment given the level of competition consisted of teams from MIT, Duke, UC Berkeley, Columbia, Harvey Mudd, and almost 400 teams from China alone. Initially, she was enrolled in our actuarial mathematics special interest area. Actuaries are professional mathematicians who primarily analyze risk in finance or insurance applications. They advance in their career by taking a series of professional examinations written by the Society of Actuaries. These exams are among the toughest in the world for mathematicians. For their financial mathematics exam, the Society recommends applicants study for a minimum of 400 hours after completing a course in interest theory. The theory of interest course that I teach only covers about 2/3 of the material necessary for the exam. After completing my course, however, she took the exam 3 weeks later and passed. Over 3,000 participants from around the world took the exam at that time. Less than 35% passed. Most people need to take the exam multiple times before passing. No student at Slippery Rock University has ever passed this exam before graduating. She did it as a junior. This particular achievement ultimately led to an internship last summer at John Agustin's Actuarial Services in Pittsburgh. I personally have found her work to be of the highest quality in terms of its content, creativity, and precision. In my 12 years as a mathematics educator, I have seen very few who could match her ambition and intellectual courage and curiosity. Certainly, her thirst for knowledge and zest for life is an inspiration for all of us. I think she sets a standard for all of our students and embodies the type of students we should be developing here at Slippery Rock University. She forges her own path and lives her own dreams. Please help me in congratulating this year's outstanding senior woman, Emily Hendrickson.
I'd like to thank my parents first for always being there for me and supporting me in all the different things I've decided to do with my life so far. And I'd like to thank Dr. Marchand because he's just such an amazing professor, and without him, none of that would have been possible. And thanks, Slippery Rock, for being an amazing university.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now, to present the outstanding senior male, Kevin Sobczak, please welcome Dr. Sam Tangai, Professor of Computer Science.
I'm kind of honored and it's a big honor for me that Kevin picked me as a speaker to introduce him, because in this case, what happened is there were actually 4 different faculty that were involved in recommending him. So it was not just me. There was Dr. Harith, Dr. Mukherjee, and Dr. Joshi. 2 of us are from computer science department. 2 of the other faculty are from the physics department. Kevin is a exceptional student because he didn't just do one major. He was actually a dual major. He did computational physics and also computer science. Why he did that, I'm not quite sure yet. Because both of us have a tendency to push students to achieve quite a bit, and we push them very hard in our classes too. And he has a QPA of 3.9 with respect to the 2 different majors, and he also minors in math. As if the 2 majors was not enough, he had to go on and get a math minor too. And right from the start, he took the toughest of classes. I think he was in Calc 1 right off the bat. One of the interesting things about Kevin was he wanted to learn more than just what was being done in the class. He wanted to do other kinds of things, and he actually liked research. And once again, he did a research project both in the computer science and also in the physics department. So he goes and does liquid crystal research with the physics department, and then he does logistics and vehicle routing research with the computer science department. And the kind of work that he has done, he's been able to present his papers and research for the liquid crystal. He was in Colorado for an international conference. For the computer science, he was working with me on what is called a clustering algorithm for solving vehicle routing problems using genetic algorithms. In short, what it means is we are trying to cut down on the amount of time it takes for trucks to travel, so that, you don't have to pay too much of the gas and insurance and things like those. And these new clustering techniques are actually based on biological models of how human genomes work. So he tended to use those type of genetic structures to try and come up with good solutions. And when we submitted the abstract to the Informs Conference, which is a collection of societies, operations research societies, consisting of people from MIT, Northwestern, and so on, mostly faculty and PhD students. And as any faculty, very, very similar to parents, we are a little bit concerned about putting a student out on the stage to present their findings when you have these kind of faculty and PhD students sitting around there. But he bravely went up there, and he did an excellent job, and I think he was the only undergraduate student at that conference. So that must have built his confidence in being able to do that. And he's also working on trying to publish that paper. He was also part of that mathematical modeling. I think as a team he worked, and for the 2007 he got the outstanding, and for 2008 they got the meritorious, and he's single-handedly running the SRU planetarium. Dr. Mukherjee couldn't do without him. And as to any other student, we make this one-time offer of extending your stay at SRU. We're happy to flunk you in a class, so you have a reason to be here for another semester or year. But he graciously refused and wants to move on and do better things. He's been an absolute joy to have. He's been a president of the physics club. He has been part of 4 different societies, honorary societies, and it's always a thrill as a faculty to get students of his caliber, because as a teacher, one of the things is we do lecture, and sometimes it does get boring for us. So we would like to have students that come in and challenge us and want to do things beyond what is being taught, and he's been that kind of a student. Please help me in congratulating Kevin for being the outstanding senior man for 2008.
First of all, I'd like to thank Slippery Rock Alumni Foundation for the award. I'd like to thank Dr. Sam for all those very nice lies. I'd like to thank all the professors at Nomini, Dr. Mukherjee, Dr. Harat, Dr. Joshi, and Dr. Sam. Also, special thanks goes out to my family for helping me through all of this. And also, Austin, congratulations in choosing a great university. When I leave Slippery Rock, I only have great things to talk about the education I got here. So, thank you.
Dr. Thangaya, do you wish to give Kevin a second chance to reconsider?
The one-time offer is still open.
What? It's still open. Excellent. Dr. Sam Thangaya graduated from Slippery Rock 1986. I won't tell those stories. I am very, very pleased now to introduce three individuals who will be working to identify well our outstanding young alumni. And this has taken a very nice natural progression. We see individuals like Austin Hawk who are coming into the educational experience. And we've had so many examples of young men and young women who have done just wonderful, wonderful things at this university as freshmen, as sophomores, as juniors, and now as seniors. And when these outstanding young people move on into their chosen professions and careers, they don't stop working. They keep right on going. And we have the opportunity now to recognize some of them. So I'm going to ask, first of all, for Ms. Wendy Stoldrayer to please come forward, Professor in Health and Safety, to introduce our first recipient. Wendy.
Thank you. And boy, what an honor to be here to recognize students who have gone on to become alumni of distinction as well. So we have tonight's winner from the College of Health, Environment, and Science is Christopher Manning, and I need to use my glasses to read all of this. You see his bio in the book, and I'm not going to cover that. I'm going to tell you 3 stories that he didn't know are on the script for tonight. And one of them happens to be that Chris has had a very distinguished career in public health, which began in his undergraduate stay here with his membership in PPHA, which stands for the Pennsylvania Public Health Association. He was here in 96, graduated in 96, and that's the same year that I started this organization for our community health students. And there happened to be a young woman named Jennifer who was interested in being in the PPHA as well. On a beautiful day like today, there was a meeting, and Chris was on his way not to the meeting. And he happened to come across Jennifer, who said, "Oh, Chris, are you going to the meeting?" And Chris said, yes. And now it's his wife. So you never know what a career in public health can begin with. Something as simple as PPHA has certainly influenced Chris' path along the way. But that also helped land him that first job with the American Heart Association in Delaware, which is his home. He incidentally came here to be a physical therapist, but found out community health was more of his calling. People usually come to community health because of that calling. It's something that they're passionate about. It's people of heart. So the other 2 stories I wanted to tell you about Chris have to do with the people of heart. And one of them happened to be that his wife happens to be expecting, and she couldn't come tonight. So what Chris said, he said, "Please, could you invite a community health student to come and be part of this tonight so then I can do some advocacy and I can help mentor." That is so Chris. He's come back to the university several times to be a speaker at Pennsylvania Public Health Association meetings. His employees love him, and she went on and on about what a wonderful boss he is to have. And so what a great way to end this transition from an incoming student all the way up to alumni of distinction by having that heart and that caring. And yes, it is a great time to have come from Slippery Rock University. Thank you, Chris.
That's funny. So we were having our staff meeting on Thursday before I left, and we actually happened to be celebrating 2 birthdays in the office, and the woman that Wendy spoke with on the phone pipes up and says, and we have something else to celebrate. So I became part of that agenda quite quickly. But let me first of all start by saying congratulations to everyone who's either receiving a scholarship or an award or recognition of some kind this evening. I can say, as others have alluded to, that if this would have been 1996, I probably would not have been honored as one of the students. But for those of you who may or have hit your stride later in life, as I did, there's hope for you out there too. But let me, in all seriousness, thank Wendy for that introduction, President Smith for being here this evening, the Alumni Association for putting this together. I must say that Michael and his staff are 2 for 2 in the events that I've been able to attend. This one is obviously spectacular, but I must say the last one that I attended also gives it a run for its money. It happened to be an event that was on the roof of the Metropolitan Museum of Arts on a beautiful summer evening as the sun was setting with the New York City skyline behind us. So this is a fantastic setting, but that one certainly gave it a run for its money. I'd also like to thank my wife, who, as Wendy pointed out, couldn't be here this afternoon, and who knows if it had not been for that beautiful weather that one day where I was making that decision about which direction I was going to go, this could have been a much different story, not only for the story about her and I together, but she has really been sort of the source of much of my support so far over my career up to this point. And I'd also like to acknowledge my parents. I was actually the first person in my family to go to college and to graduate from college. So me actually ending up here at Slippery Rock was an achievement in and of itself. And I know that they were jockeying for an ability to be here this evening, as they have always been very proud parents and continue to be up until this point. Let me just say a few things very briefly about my career to this point. On some level, I would say that perhaps me being here is a function of being in the right place at the right time. I like to think that I work hard, but I've also had tremendous support and been in positions over my career to this point that have allowed me to grow, to explore new areas, and to really sort of put myself in a position to succeed while at the same time not being insulated from the ability to fail. So I like to think that it's those opportunities and the mentors that I've had over the course of the past few years that have allowed me to grow in such a way as to be standing here before you today. Some of that is the result of fairly deliberate career planning on my part. Something in community health clicked with me. As I moved on to my first job, I found something in that clicked with me that led me to graduate school at NYU, which led me into the positions that I've had. So as I think about a mixed audience of folks who are going to be heading out into the working world, some who are there, others who have are guiding others to get there, I like to think that sort of the takeaway from that is to sort of have a sense for where you want to go, but be flexible enough to recognize when there might be a fork in your road and be courageous enough to take it if it arises in that way. I'd also like to stress and emphasize the value of a Slippery Rock degree. I had a moment first few days of graduate school at the Wagner School at NYU, and we were, as you do oftentimes, going around the room, and people were talking about sort of their experiences and where they came from. And I was sort of sitting towards the end of the circle, and the conversation was getting pretty repetitive. My name is so-and-so. I went to Harvard. I worked on Capitol Hill. Hi, I went to Brown. I went to this. I graduated from Columbia. And after about 15 or so people, I sort of stopped. I paused. I sort of took it all in, smile on my face, and said, my name is Chris Manning, and I went to Slippery Rock University. And there was sort of this pause. But the takeaway there is that in many respects I did as well as better in some cases those folks who went to schools that have larger names, Ivy League in some cases. But the Slippery Rock education, the value is increasing dramatically. There are more and more Slippery Rock graduates in positions where historically you may have only found Ivy League graduates. So I think that is a testament to many of the students who are graduating now, to some of those who will be coming in, and to the faculty and to the administration here at the university. And the last thing I'd like to say is just to sort of make a pitch for public service. It's not a career track that gets talked about often. It's not something that students in high school who are trying to feel their way through where they might be headed in their careers are not often encouraged to go into public service generally, not necessarily encouraged to go into government per se, but it's a fantastic field in which to watch the world happen. The things that people read about in the paper on Tuesday are the things that you are working on Monday. And I can't stress the value of public service as a first option for those who may be thinking about career options, and certainly for those who have already established themselves in their career, there's always public service opportunities available for you too. So thank you very much for this award, and thank you for having me back here at Slippery Rock.
I want to ask Mr. Ed Sims to come forward. Ed? Ed will introduce our next young alum. And Ed is faculty emeritus from the Department of Music. And we had a brief walk down part of memory lane earlier this evening. Ed, thank you for coming back, and thank you for participating.
When I was a faculty member at Slippery Rock University, I met a young man by the name of David Wotan, who expressed a great desire to become an excellent music teacher. He enrolled in college as an instrumentalist, but fortunately, Dr. O'Bannon, who was a voice teacher at that time, encouraged him to learn to sing. I had David in 3 courses. It was in secondary music methods where he demonstrated his ability during field experience to adapt his teaching to a variety of students. And it's not easy to adapt your teaching to junior high school students. Thank you. In discussing his future after he had been in his teaching, some of it, I suggested that he should join the state professional music organization. There he could become acquainted with new methods and materials, other music teachers, and possibly prepare a session at some time for a future conference. I happened to be at the conference the time he presented his first session, and I was very proud of him. But I didn't realize that this was going to grow over the next few years to where he presented 7 or 8 sessions. He considered graduate school not only as a place to get a degree, but as a place where he could overcome his deficiencies and a place where he could learn new ideas. He was fortunate at Duquesne University to work with Christine Jordanoff, I don't know that you people know her, head of the department, who was famous in working with youth choral groups. And he also worked with other people in their, vocal department. He was able to carry this on into his education. He then chose to do his student teaching at an excellent music department in the state, in the Pittsburgh area. He was successful there doing both instrumental and vocal. And then when he graduated, he was offered a position. Well, the position became available. He applied and took the position in the Carson school system there, where he teaches general music and he teaches choral music. Well, junior high school choral music can be a problem, which some of you people don't understand, or maybe you do. But you deal with the male changing voice. And you have no control over when they mature. And you may plan a concert and have a soloist for the concert, and 2 weeks before the concert, he can't sing in that range anymore. And To give you the outside extremes of this kind of thing that can happen, I experienced it once, and Dr. Chester O'Bannon, who was a voice teacher here, went through it himself, that their voices matured in grade 6, and they both became basses in grade 6, which is unusual. The boy that I knew went to the doctor when he had broken a bone in his body, and they determined as a 6th grader he had the bone structure of an 18-year-old boy. And then the other extreme was I knew a boy who was a soprano who sang a soprano solo with the 9th grade chorus. But he still matured fine and everything went along well. Well, David is working with these kind of people. And the principal that he has was so impressed with David's work that he recommended him to become the outstanding teacher for the state of Pennsylvania. David has received that award, and I'm very proud of him, and I'm pleased to introduce to you David Wampum.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. When I was contacted about the nomination for the Young Alumni Award, I was thrilled, in part because they still consider me young. I have to admit, it's just 3 short years from now, I will no longer qualify as a Young Alumni here. I was selected as the Pennsylvania Teacher of the Year this past October, and since then, my life has been full of many incredible experiences and opportunities, and I wanted to start by sharing one of those with you. One of the gifts I received at that conference was a 5-pound Hershey bar. 2 small children. About 2 weeks later, I'm riding in the car with my son Nicholas, who's 6 at the time. He's in the back seat. All of a sudden, out of the blue, he says, "Dad, I keep telling everybody at school about that candy bar you won. It's the highlight of my life." Future events that I'm looking forward to. In about a week and a half, I'll have the opportunity to meet the President and First Lady and have a photo taken with them in the Oval Office. And then this coming July, I'll spend 8 days at NASA Space Camp going through astronaut training. So it's just been one incredible experience after another. Success in any career begins with a solid foundation provided by quality educators. Me and countless others have found that solid foundation here at Slippery Rock University. During my time here, my professors such as Dr. Sims and Dr. Hawk not only taught me what I needed to be successful, but they also fostered the talents that I had and helped me realize that I could accomplish more than I ever believed. The Slippery Rock campus provided a family atmosphere with a wealth of opportunities that I would not have had in other universities. This combination of quality instruction, diverse experiences, educators who truly care about their students, and a family atmosphere is what Slippery Rock is known for. The teacher in me would like to again recognize all of you out there who are scholarship recipients. Congratulations. It's evident that you've already distinguished yourself from your peers. Continue to set high goals for yourself and pursue your dreams with all you have, and you will continue to achieve great things. I'd like to say thank you to Slippery Rock University, the professors, and the Alumni Association. What you have given me is much more than just a bachelor's degree. You have given me the foundation for a lifetime of success. Thank you.
We're going to take a minute here to recognize the individuals within the alumni organization that have spent countless hours going through the many, many applications that, fortunately for us this evening, yielded these outstanding young men and women. And I'm going to ask the Scholarship and Awards Committee for 2008 to please stand as I call your name. Patrick Mooney, class of 71. Bill Burns, class of 61. Lorraine Triano Barron, class of 57. You told me you graduated in 1977. Norman Moses, class of 73. Bruno Razzo, class of 61. And Jean Ney, class of 85. Please help me thank them for their service. I'm pleased now to reintroduce to the group Mr. Michael Soraka, Director of Alumni Relations here at Slippery Rock. Mike.
When Becky asked me to introduce her, I was so honored and so touched. And then I was frightened. I remember Becky and I when I was in graduate school and she was an undergrad. And we shared the same office down at the University Union. And I was a grad assistant down at the University Union, and Becky was my intern. And we did the publicity, the graphic design, the press releases for the events sponsored by the University Program Board. And you know, I'm standing here today, 20 years later, and Becky, how did we get here? It's been a long trip, but I've managed in that 20 years to stay in touch with a woman who has exemplified grace, a sense of humor, and such a positive attitude that it is indeed contagious. She represents the best values that I think Slippery Rock has to offer. She's had a successful career, or she has a successful career as a design editor for the premier, what I think, publication for anybody who works in higher education, which is the Chronicle of Higher Education. It's read by faculty, staff, administration all over the world. She works in Washington, D.C., has supported Slippery Rock both financially, and she has helped me organize alumni events in Washington, D.C. and in the Boston area. I've gotten to know her husband, Pat, who is from the Boston area, and unfortunately he is a Boston Red Sox fan. And I'm from North Jersey, but my Giants beat your Pittsburgh your Patriots in the Super Bowl. They're both very, very good friends. I've known Becky since we were students at Slippery Rock University. She's worked as a graphic designer, a journalist. She's worked in higher education, and she's utilized her bachelor's degree in communication fully in her life. On numerous occasions, she's assisted me in New England and D.C. She recognizes the importance of giving back to her alma mater and has done so in so many ways. She comes back to campus. She's always interested in helping students, in mentoring them. She's donated both to her college and to the Russell Wright Alumni House. She is one of the few alumni who graduated within the past 20 years to reach the Peridot level in lifetime giving. I know they are very special people to me personally, and it makes me very, very proud to introduce Becky Pendergast as the Outstanding Young Alumni Award recipient.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the award and for inviting me tonight. It's quite an honor. And thanks to Slippery Rock for offering me all the opportunities that I had while I was here. I took every single opportunity I could and sort of kept going with it as I went along. So, and still continue to do so. I just wanted to say, too, congrats to everyone who won awards tonight, and hearing about all the excellent students
It just really inspires me to go back into the workforce and take that with me. It just, gives you an infusion after hearing all that. So, but thank you very much.
Dan and I had a 4.0 as well when we were in college, but unfortunately that's what our grade point averages together added up to. Right? Okay. We're getting towards the end, but I don't want to shortchange our next recipient, and I'm very proud to introduce him as well. David Lorenzi was nominated by Dr. Thomas Gordon. He's professor of early childhood education at Slippery Rock University. Unfortunately, Tom couldn't make it here this evening to present David, so I'm proud to do it for him. Since 2003, David has served as assistant professor in the Department of Health and Physical Education at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Prior to that, he was an instructor in the Department of Physical Education at West Liberty State College in West Virginia. He spent 7 years as an elementary and secondary education teacher in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Georgia. David was able to obtain the requisite public school teaching experience while also pursuing his longtime dream of becoming a university faculty member. As an undergraduate student, he went the extra step and student taught in Mexico City. We have students who teach in Mexico City, Canada, in Las Vegas, North Carolina, all over the country. And those experiences are what I think helped David become the faculty member that he is today. David has been published and presented, and he has presented at national conferences, serves as director of the Special Needs Activity Program at IUP, and was a member of the Multicultural and Diversity Committee. It is for these reasons that I'm proud to present Dr. David Lorenzi as the 2008 recipient of the College of Education's Young Alumni Award.
Thanks, Mike. Pleasure to be here this evening. Truly honored and humbled to stand before you. As the other award recipients have noted, what an honor to be among all of you, everyone who's received an award this evening. As Mike mentioned, I was nominated by Tom Gordon. He mentioned the student teaching experience in Mexico, which was certainly one of the highlights of my educational career at Slippery Rock. Tom is currently in Mexico, and if anyone knows Tom, he's quite a globetrotter and spends a great deal of time traveling and mentoring and tutoring students. I just want to briefly, I know we're at the end, it's been a long evening, but just a couple of comments here in closing. Just returning back to campus and the flood of memories that returned for me as a four-year member of the men's soccer team, driving past the high school. I had the honor of being the first varsity women's soccer coach at Slippery Rock Area High School when I concluded my playing career. But probably the turning point for me occurred in, probably the summer of 1990, sitting in Dr. Robert Arnhold's adapted physical education class. And at the time, we had the opportunity to get hands-on experience working with special education students in the lab school that was here on campus. And a light bulb went off for me at that moment, and I kind of knew that's the career path I wanted to take. And I have to thank my wife, Melissa, who's here with me this evening, as I've dragged her to Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia, back to Pennsylvania. But that moment, I decided I wanted to become a professor in a university setting and run my own clinical program, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to do that, even though I have crossed over to the enemy to go to IUP. Mike warned me I might get some booze when he mentioned that, but in closing, I'm very glad to hear that Bob's program just got approved for a master's in adapted physical activity, and rumor has it there may be a faculty position as well. So, Dr. Smith, I think I may be throwing my name in the hat possibly for that as well. Thank you.
We now have the opportunity to hear from the Slippery Rock University Alumni Association President, Mr. Richard Manning, class of 1975. Dick.
Did he? Okay. I'm always the favorite speaker at graduation because I'm the last one up. So when you see my face, you know it's coming to an end, and that's time to celebrate. As you have seen this evening, members of the Board of Directors work very hard to make all this happen on a daily, weekly, yearly basis. This facility is, through their efforts, the fine staff that we have, and each year we have a number of board members that are leaving the board, and we'd like to recognize them if we could. 3 are not here, 2 are here. Okay. And if I can ask Jean to come up, please. Jean, on behalf of the executive board, thank you for your service. We appreciate that. Chuck Schultz, if we can ask you to come up, please. This is one of my bosses from years ago. He was one of my superintendents that I had during my career, and never thought of him as a boss. Always thought of him as a friend who lives up to the Slippery Rock motto, which is going to be documented now, right, Bob? And that is give all the time. Be involved. Be involved. And that's kind of what Slippery Rock is always about. We're never afraid to volunteer to do things. We simply feel that that's part of our heritage, something that we need to do. Chuck Schultz is, again, a prime example of that. Chuck, thank you.
Thank you
so much.
There are also 3 others who are going off the board. They could not be here this evening. That's Pat Capat, Norm Moses, and Dwendy Johnson.
Our final activity this evening is, as it should be, standing and singing the university's alma mater. So I ask Norma Watson Lochner, class of 1948, to come forward. I'm proud to say that I'm her nephew. I don't have her singing talents, however.
He always has to say 1948 as if that were important.
Like he says 57.
That's right, just the same way. Now, just here's your test for tonight. How many of you really know the alma mater? Raise your hand. All right, the rest of you mouth it, you know. You're used to that, right? All right. This is our alma mater for many of us. So, as the music teacher in Coriopolis, where I started teaching, used to say, if you can't make it good, make it loud. Okay. Where the slippery rock creek wanders with its sparkling falls, there in stately grace and beauty vast and old SR halls. Sing her praises loud resounding, speed them on their way. We'll be true to the old SR, true for A and A. Very good.
Thank you for coming this evening.